extraordinarily warm day in January in the upstate of South Carolina. You're looking outside Littlejohn Coliseum. You think it's warm outside? It's going to get warm inside. Littlejohn as the Clemson Tigers host top-ranked North Carolina. Our ACC game from Jefferson Pilot and Raycom Sports. And good afternoon, everybody. I'm Steve Martin, along with Billy Packer. You know, you take a look at January, Billy, the non-conference is behind us, and these ACC games now start to take a different feel on.
Well, they really do. It's an entirely different season now that we approach it. The conference play is coming on. The ACC did very well, winning about 80% of their games against outside opponents, and you can see right now, although it's early, North Carolina has a win on the road at Florida State. That's going to be very important. Another key game for them today. I think that this league is so powerful this year that when you can win on the road, you put yourself in great shape.
Well, speaking of powerful, was talking about the most powerful team in the country by the rankings. #1, North Carolina. Even though Dean Smith has moved into retirement, Bill Guthridge is here. There doesn't seem to be much change in the Tar Heel program.
Well, of course, Bill was around for 30-some years with Dean. He knows exactly what the program is supposed to do. The players very comfortable. I think one of the great transitions ever made in intercollegiate athletics, and Dean Smith should get a lot of credit for it, moving Bill Guthridge into that spot when he did it. And this team has moved right on.
You know, Billy, North Carolina, of course, is so much about Antawn Jamison being their leading scorer. And if you concentrate on Antawn Jamison, especially from a spectator standpoint, you may miss the show of the day from Vince Carter.
Well, in this league, there have been so many great performers above the rim. David Thompson, if you want to go back into the 70s, of course, Michael Jordan, one of the all-timers. But Vince Carter's right up in there in regard to finishing the lob pass. He ranks with anybody.
He had his homecoming down in Bethune-Cookman. That's his hometown, Daytona Beach, Florida. He had 6 for 7 from the floor. 5 of them were dunks.
Well, it's hard to miss from that high up in the air. What he has to worry about is how tough is it going to be to come on down.
And, of course, for the Clemson Tigers, they are led by, well, really an addition of steadiness in Greg Buckner. He started every game he's played, and that's up to 103 right now.
Well, he's only 2 games away from breaking all-time record here and joining 2 other players. The national anthem coming on now. There is Greg Buckner right there.
And, of course, another sidelight, of course, today will be the availability of Terrell McIntyre. McIntyre, of course, has the bruise on the heel. That could possibly affect the outcome of this game.
Going up against Ed Cota today, 2 of the premier guards in the league. They both are great with the ball in their hands. And let's see how physically strong he is for this game. He'll be tested.
When we come back, we'll take a look at our keys to the game, and we'll be ready for basketball action from Littlejohn, Clemson, North Carolina coming up next. Boy, this is a rare sight. People outside Littlejohn Coliseum looking for tickets. And they're not looking for football tickets. They're looking for basketball tickets, as this program has been rejuvenated by Rick Barnes. 21-ranked Clemson taking on the top-ranked North Carolina Tar Heels. Now, many preseason polls, Billy, had Clemson as high as 5th. Now, they've started out 10-3. They've fallen a little bit. At face value, a lot of people say they haven't met expectations, but that isn't the case with Clemson.
Well, I think this is going to be a very dangerous team as the year moves on. One of the things we have to take in consideration, though, Clemson is not a North Carolina. They're not a Duke. They're the kind of basketball team last year that maybe over-excelled. All of a sudden, they come back thinking they're pretty good. They don't realize probably how dedicated they were last year. They also don't realize that they caught some people sleeping a little bit last year. I think they've made the adjustment now, and I think this team that we're going to see the rest of the way is going to be a tough one to beat.
Let's take a look at the keys to the game, especially for North Carolina. Bill Guthridge doesn't have an awful lot of depth, but that's going to be key today to see if he can get other people to score.
You know, I talked to Bill after the Florida State game, and he said the 6 guys play because they practice the best. But I really believe that in this league, you're going to have more than 6 men to win. It's going to be interesting to see how he rotates.
And, of course, Jamison rebounding. That'll be a key this afternoon. Antawn Jamison leads them overall. We look at Clemson. Of course, Clemson has to find ways to score the basketball.
They really do, particularly from the perimeter. And when you talk about Jamison rebounding, I think it depends on which one you're talking about, because that could be the real key to this ball game. Both of them terrific defensive rebounders and offensive rebounders as well. Harold and Antoine, that's going to be a real key to this ball game.
And, of course, with Terrell McIntyre's injury, we could see a little bit more of Johnny Miller, but we'll also see step-up performances from Vincent Witt and Tony Christie.
Very important for Clemson to get explosive scoring off the bench, and that's where it can come from. Both of those guys capable of having big games.
Well, they're filling up Littlejohn. They're just about ready to go, as basketball action in the ACC doesn't get any better than this when we take the turn into regular season play. We'll be back after this message from Budweiser. We are outside Littlejohn take the tour inside, where things are filled up considerably. The students may be away, but they sold 2,000 student tickets, and they'll have their 7th sellout of a Clemson basketball game, and they are ready to root here as this conference play starts to get underway. Both teams have a win in conference play already. Billy, you look at Clemson also. One of the things that I think Rick Barnes wanted to do was toughen up the schedule early. That may not help him immediately, but the returns could come in later in the season.
Absolutely, and I think that the NCAA Tournament Selection Committee, without question, gives you credit for the strength of schedule. And I think, let's face it, when you get into March, and this conference is going to be so tough each and every night, you want to have played some people outside the league where you're not familiar. You adjust to the styles of play. You get your guys ready to face national competition, and I think it really will be helpful to Clemson down the road.
Now let's take a look at our starting lineups this afternoon. First, for the North Carolina Tar Heels, Ed Cota and Shammond Williams in the backcourt, and of course Maktar Jai in the middle, Antawn Jamison and Vince Carter. It's a powerful lineup, and of course Ed Cota pretty much can determine where he plays and how he plays all afternoon.
One of the smarter ball handlers in the United States. Of course, right there you see Terrell McIntyre going up against him in the point guard position with Buckner, Weidman, Christie, and Iturbe.
And of course Tom Weidman right there in the middle. The fans are excited. Yeah, this is one of the closest atmospheres you'll find. The fans are right down on the floor, and several people who have played in this hall before call it one of the most difficult places to play because of the background. And of course Bill Guthridge has been in here many times as an assistant to Dean Smith. He'll feel the heat this afternoon of the Clemson fans who leave nothing to turn over as far as North Carolina is concerned. Rick Barnes has done a great job with this program.
He absolutely has, and just to see the students back in here, this should actually be a game where North Carolina could somewhat steal a game on the road without the students here, but that's not the case today.
Students are in, you are too, and we'll tip it off from Littlejohn right after this.
He said that he wanted to talk to you about it because he feels.
Brought to you by Buick, by Nations Bank, by Pepsi, by Nationwide Insurance, by Bell Sour, and by Budweiser.
Welcome back to Littlejohn Coliseum in Clemson, South Carolina. Steve Martin along with Billy Packer. We're the two people who were told to be here. Everybody else, they didn't need to be told to be here. This is a great rivalry and a great way to open up January here in the ACC. The non-conference play, by and large, Billy, is done. It's all conference games from here on out.
It really is, and of course, on the road, as I mentioned before, North Carolina has a huge win beating Florida State, a team that I think can go very deep into the NCAA tournament. And to come away with a win here would be very sweet for the Tar Heels. For Clemson, you've got to preserve that home court.
One of the most lopsided series in ACC history. Clemson has not won ever at Chapel Hill, but they've won 11 times here at Clemson.
I think it's funny, the Clemson brochure says that the record is actually 15-103. 102. The North Carolina record says it's 15-102. So somebody is off in regard to the number of losses Clemson has.
You think that'll ever be reconciled?
I hope so.
Here is Buckner in the lane, and the game's first basket is in the paint.
Tough man to match up. He's good enough outside to take you out. Can really post up inside on a smaller man.
And a travel violation against Okalaja turns it back over to Clemson. The fans are standing already in the lower sections of Littlejohn.
Okalaja really has himself a tough job here. He's going to be playing a smaller, quicker guy on the outside, and yet on the other end of the floor, Buckner is strong enough to play against him.
He carried Turbay off to Buckner. Buckner in the lane again, 4-0 Clemson.
There's the matter of the quickness, Steve. You can see that Buckner playing like a small forward, even a second guard here in Okalaja. Tough matchup.
Jai gives it off to Cota. Tar Heels get into their offense. Jamison at the top. McIntyre chasing Williams down. Still plenty of time.
People are probably saying, where is Carter? Why is he not on Buckner? Carter not starting in this game.
Here's Jamison with North Carolina's first basket of the game. Bill Guthridge has an interesting way of selecting starters.
Alphabetical order rotation. kind of interesting, but doesn't really work for this team.
McIntyre's a little long, and Jamison comes away with it. Carter's over there on the sidelines with his warm-up off, ready to come in if needed. All taken away by Iturbe right out of Jamison's hand.
Iturbe very strong.
Iturbe coming back from a painful injury 2 years ago. He's come back slowly off a back injury at the start of this season.
Iturbe sets great screens. He's a good passer.
Buckner's 3 for 3.
Well, I think you're going to see a change of defensive assignments with Carter already on the sidelines to come in. He'll be guarding Buckner, and that's one of the great matchups in this league.
7-2, Clemson on top. Shammond Williams from Greenville, South Carolina, off Dakota.
McIntyre moving pretty good on those feet so far.
Williams gets a look. Iturbe gets the rebound. And here comes McIntyre from Rayford, North Carolina. Dakota in tow.
Boy, they're giving Buckner a lot of good looks here.
And they gave him the lane.
Okalaja cannot play him.
It is Greg Buckner 9, North Carolina 2.
Iturbe giving up a little bit of height on Jamison inside, but he's a good position defender.
Jamison gets free off a screen. Weidman comes out to get him and commits the foul. That'll be his first, team's first.
There's Buckner. You see Iturbe setting good wide screens. Buckner just too quick for Okalaja. Goes right on by him off the dribble that time.
Greg Buckner, a tough cover. Can go inside, can go outside, and he's got 9 points already. To the foul line, Antawn Jamison.
Jamison last year in the first game against Clemson had 22 points, 7 rebounds. North Carolina winning pretty handily at home. In that game, Clemson was 3 for 24 from 3. McIntyre 1 of 9. Here we see the change in the lineups now.
Ed Cota going out. Vince Carter coming in for North Carolina. Weidman goes out early. And it looks like Vincent Witt is in the ballgame now for Clemson. Jamison 1 out of 2 from the stripe. Iturbe with the rebound, and Clemson comes back with a 9-3 lead.
Carter on McIntyre. Okalaja still out there.
Got a whistle and a foul.
Boy, that's a touch foul out there. Jamison and Iturbe really had nothing to do with the play.
Jamison whistled for his first, team's first. And here's Terrell McIntyre again.
How about Carter's versatility here? He's out playing a point guard, 5'9".
Here's Buckner inside again. Greg Buckner with all 11 Clemson points. Tigers lead the Tar Heels 11-3. Okalaja for 3. Iturbe can't get the rebound, but an over-the-back foul on John.
Iturbe, a terrific position player. Doesn't have great leaping ability, doesn't have great size, but gets in good position. Good dish inside, terrific vertical leap, nice square up move on a turnaround jump shot.
Vincent Witt in the ball game. Muhammad Woney is here too, along with Tony Christie. McIntyre gets a rest. Harold Jamison is the big insertion up front.
Carolina goes zone against this ball club.
Here is Harold Jamison. The bucket plus the foul.
Ever since the South Carolina game, Jamison has really played like a man inside. Had 11 offensive rebounds in that game, 13 in total. Very powerful. It's a big team Clemson has on the floor right now. We see Jamison going up. Good putback.
Jamison recruited as a tight end by both Florida State and Clemson. He's got that type of body, 247. Double-doubles in 2 of his last 4. And he's hit 17 of his last 19 free throws. So somebody other than Buckner's in the scorebook.
Had a little trouble on that foul line against South Carolina down the stretch, but since that time, really gained some confidence on the line.
Shammond Williams at the point.
But it's a big team on the floor for Clemson.
Carter for 3. And Vince Carter answers. 14-6 Clemson. Quickly Christie in the front court.
Jamison, Jai down inside. Boy, there's 2 guys that are strong hanging on each other.
Jai's playing with 2 fouls already, Billy. Here's Witt.
Good decision not to shoot there.
Still just under 20 on the shot clock. Buckner looking for Jamison. Ooh, under control. Whoa!
I wouldn't have called that a soft touch, but it went in anyway.
There was no part of the iron left unused by Jamison that time. 16-6 Clemson. Okalaja.
Buckner, a real good defender.
Williams trying to look for Jamison, but he carried it.
Big point of emphasis in college basketball this year to stop that pawning violation.
Now a timeout on the court. Third turnover for North Carolina. Greg Buckner, Harold Jamison, they lead Clemson to a 16-6 lead. Welcome back to Clemson, where the Tigers have opened quickly. 16-6 over North Carolina. About 4.5 minutes gone. Greg Buckner has picked up a pair of assists and joins a trio of players who have done 1,000 points, 500 rebounds, and 200 assists in their career. Greg Buckner also has 11 points in this game. He joins Vincent Hamilton and Horace Grant for that distinction.
Two pretty good ones. I think North Carolina is going to have to get into their normal starting lineup to get some better matchups out here.
Buckner now being guarded in the zone, and the swipe by Cota.
Good hit ahead.
Shammond Williams for the dunk.
Terrific hustle by Williams. Clemson really didn't realize Williams was behind the two defenders. Let's see if North Carolina goes back. They played a little 2-3 zone. Looks like they're playing a box and one right now. They sure are.
Yep, box and one, and they're paying particular attention to Witt. And that's Shammond Williams on him. Now it looks like they're matching up out of it. Here's Witt. Jamison boards. Jai almost picked up his third. Here's a pop-out rebound to Cota and Shammond Williams. Foul coming up on Greg Buckner.
Oh, a terrific job by Williams just to get that off. Buckner got back on defense. Steve, that was quite an unusual defense there. North Carolina at times looked like they were in a standard 2-3. Then it looked like it was a box and one. We'll have to check that out.
Against Georgia, Billy, they started out and showed a possession like a zone, and then all of a sudden flared out into a man-to-man.
Yeah.
As an offense, you have to recognize that. Shammond Williams playing in his backyard. He's had some good games against Clemson in the past here.
The best thing to do if you're playing against a team that's going to go into some kind of a matchup like that is keep that ball at the top of the key for a few seconds, run some cutters through, and see who's actually going to follow a man.
Shammond Williams with a pair of free throws. Top free throw shooters in the ACC.
You don't want too many possessions where you come down the floor and don't realize what the other team's doing in defense.
Now it's a straight man. Johnny Miller's in the ballgame now for Clemson. Transfer from Temple.
But Buckner really comes off those screens, rubs off nicely.
Here's Miller, watched by Shammond Williams. Posted up is Jamison.
Dangerous pass across the lane, a little weak.
Miller's got range. And the rebound comes away off the missed three to Makdar Jai.
Nice block out by Jai. Took care of two people.
Ed Cota up top. He'll face Clemson's man-to-man matchup. Inside, the pass for Jai, deflected twice. Who comes down with it? Cota can pick it up as Clemson had knocked it away.
Buckner, a deceiving jumper, has an excellent vertical leap.
Shammond Williams.
Rooney laying off Carter on the outside. Carter's got to take up a little slack there to get in shooting position.
Shammond Williams with the shot fake, now goes for three. Witt with the rebound. Sophomore from Greensboro, North Carolina. Kicks it ahead. Good position. Jamison blocked by Jai. Shammond Williams on the move. Cota looking for others in the offense. It's Carter for three.
Vince fading away on that jump shot. Didn't stay with it.
Okalaja's going to be called for a loose ball foul. And that'll give North Carolina, or rather Clemson, the ball back. Okalaja picking up his first. That's the team's fourth.
Now here's a game we talked about at the top, Steve, in regard to depth. Clemson goes about 9 deep, maybe even 10 deep. Actually have 9 guys on their squad that are averaging over 14 minutes a game. is really going to push on North Carolina's stamina.
Plus, it's going to help that man right there, Terrell McIntyre, space out his minutes with a sore right heel.
Witt had Cota down inside. He didn't get in the ball.
Iturbe, offensive foul. His establishing position was Antawn Jamison inside.
Witt's probably got 5 or 6 inches on Cota down inside. When he's got that low post position, they've got to let him touch it.
Ball was on the opposite side of the floor, unfortunately. Here comes Williams back the other way. 16-10. Clemson got out to an early start. Greg Buckner scored the first 9 points for the Tigers. Jamison shot knocked away, but a foul coming up on Iturbe. Iker Iturbe picks up his second. Team's third.
Pretty good decision by Iturbe, because when Jamison gets it in on that little bounce of his, pretty tough to stop him inside without help.
It's a second on Iturbe as Jamison toes the stripe, and Adam Allensbach is getting set to come in. Jamison will be up for 2.
Allensbach will be the 10th player to get into this ball game for Clemson.
He uses generally 10. Iturbe going out. Jamison with 4 points and a rebound here early has improved his free throw percentage from his career 57 to what it is currently 69%. He drains them both.
And it's going to be shooting before this day's out. 100 free throws already this year. Shows you that he can finish on the inside.
Carolina cuts Clemson's lead to 4. Miller on the drop. And a stick back there by Allensbach.
Pretty good hands. Allensbach runs really well for a big man.
6-point Clemson lead. Shammond Williams. Nice feed to Carter.
Now we have just the opposite taking place in the other end of the floor. Allensbach got matched up with Carter. Carter just too much quickness. Lost him in the shuffle.
A nice pass to the post. Here comes Witt at the top. And was looking for someone to screen off Weidman. There was no one there. It's a turnover.
Got to fault McIntyre a little bit there. He's got to come out and get that ball. He was running around down on the inside in the low post. He needs the ball in his hands.
Third turnover for the Clemson Tigers. Vince Carter gets it cranked up from underneath. Has position, gets 2. And Carolina Clemson's lead to 4. The Clemson Tigers leading the North Carolina Tar Heels 18-14. ACC basketball coming away from Littlejohn Coliseum. Greg Buckner, leading scorer in this game with 11 points. North Carolina, or actually Clemson, started out this game hitting 7 of their first 8 field goals, Billy. They've only hit 1 of their last 6. Clemson showing some pressure now in backcourt. Miller. Full pocket full of quickness, and Miller out of tempo.
Well, half-court zone trap here.
Inside, Antawn finds Jamison for 2.
There has not been a better player at catching the ball inside and finishing off in the Atlantic Coast Conference than Jamison.
7 points already in this one early. North Carolina cuts it to a 2-point game.
Kid's got amazing hands and ability to just go ahead and put the ball up right away.
McIntyre, nice feed to Miller. Nice block by Jai.
Second big block by Jai in the inside.
Took one away from Jamison earlier. Here's Ed Cota. Carter sees Jai for 2. Well, he paid him back and tied the score up at 18.
This is about as fine a game as I've seen Jai play. Doing it on both ends of the floor.
And he's doing it with 2 fouls. Buckner. All kinds of attention there, and the shots that were falling early aren't falling now. Cota with a rebound.
There's Jamison again, and look at the good conditioning by Jamison. Getting that rebound taken off on the other end. There he goes again.
Nice vision by Cota to see Jamison shading behind, and North Carolina storms in front with 8 unanswered points.
Now, if you're Clemson, you have got to play this game. You like this tempo to keep it going this fast, hoping that you can stay in there tight. About the last 8 minutes of this game, wear North Carolina down a little bit.
Here comes Weidman.
Another block.
Third block. And North Carolina controls the ball. Jai taking it away from Weidman. Here's Jamison again inside.
That's goaltending.
Yep. 11 points for Jamison. Carolina on a 16-4 run over the last 6 minutes.
Boy, he is just something to watch, how he can just catch and finish. Terrific. He watches that ball in his hands every time and then has himself in position to go right up. Look at that great catch. Then he puts it away.
Nice pass from Cota, one that only Jamison could get.
And here's that zone look again. Let's see how long North Carolina stays in it. Oh, back to man-to-man.
Jamison's back in the ball game now. Buckner posts up inside, and Carter fouls him.
Gave Jamison some of his own medicine that time. Caught it and put it right up.
Buckner does so many things well.
Hayward in the ball game now gives North Carolina some size and a little bit of rest for the frontline players. Okalaja and Jai get very good time to sit down.
Jai in particular, Bill Guthridge went a while with him in his second foul and got a lot out of it. Buckner to the stripe for the three-point play. He's the game's leading scorer with 14, and Clemson's down by just a point.
Try that zone trap again.
Shammond Williams on the handle against the zone. Jamison posts it up. Lots of defensive attention, and it's a turnover for North Carolina.
Really packed that zone back in there.
Coming up on most of these Raycom Jefferson Pilot ACC stations tomorrow, it's the Wake Forest Demon Deacons taking on the Virginia Cavaliers. And you'll see it at 1 o'clock. Check your local listings for the availability in your area.
Steve, they didn't give Jai much time on that bench. He'd right back out there. Probably sat down no more than 30 seconds of action time.
Tony Christie back on the floor now for Clemson. Harold Jamison has it at the top. Here's Muhammad Woonie.
Look at where Jamison's playing him down inside, almost like a one-man zone.
Buckner didn't get that much of a good look. Fires the brick, and here comes Clemson. Okalaja.
They stay in the zone, does Clemson.
Out to Carter at the wing. Jai to Carter. We're trying to find Jamison inside. Cota's in trouble. Jai bails him out. And Jamison can't make the tip, but Jai does.
He's having an all-world game.
4 points, 3 blocks, and a fistful of rebounds. 4, in fact.
He's playing against Jamison. They should try to go inside with Jamison to get that third foul on Jai, as well as Jai is playing in this game. And there he is, 20 feet from the basket, not even a factor.
Rel McIntyre penetrates. Buckner in amongst the trees. And Jai battling for the rebound, but he was out of bounds.
Clemson, McIntyre has to recognize you've got Jai playing probably the best game he's played in his career at North Carolina so far. He's got 2 fouls on him. Jamison's a very good guy in getting position, and what happens? He hasn't touched the ball offensively yet. North Carolina zoning out of bounds.
Jamison trapped in the corner. Tony Christie will come out and take it. 8:28 left in the half. Here's McIntyre, has been off mark.
Carter raised that fist up. He wants to come out and take a little breather. He didn't start in this game, but he stayed in ever since he first got on the floor.
McIntyre, Clemson's second leading scorer, is yet to score. Not uncommon, though, for him to go shut out for a half and then all of a sudden explode on you.
As I mentioned, 1 for 9 against Carolina from 3 last year in the first game they played.
Cota at the top. Okalaja.
Well, they really have the zone packed in there, giving up the outside shot.
Shot clock still running because it didn't hit the rim, but Woney makes it a moot point.
And the best shooter for Carolina, Williams, was out. So he's out on the sidelines now to come back in. That's who Bill Guthridge like to have in there. Here's the good move right here.
There's Jamison, scores 2.
And he's got Jai on his back. That's where Clemson ought to go with the ball.
Clemson has hit 3 of their last 14 field goals. That one might have been the most important one of all. Signals possibly a change inside for Clemson.
Boy, look at him giving Cota the shot from 18 feet.
Okalaja outside for a 3. Okalaja was so big in the last 5 minutes of the Georgia game.
He really was. And up to that point, Steve, in this season, he had really seemed to lose some confidence in his shooting.
Got a timeout on the court with 7:14 left to go in this first half. North Carolina has a 4-point edge on Clemson, 27-23. Usually this is a pretty potent duo together, but usually the distribution's a little bit different.
It really is. McIntyre, who sat out 3 complete games, of which Clemson won all 3, not really up to snuff. And one of the things, Steve, I don't think he's putting the ball in his hands enough and trying to distribute a little better. Been running around a lot without the ball. He's going to sit right now.
Johnny Miller will run the point for Clemson, trailing North Carolina 27-23. Clemson get out to a 9-2 start. Carolina has taken command since.
And there's that 2-3 zone. Let's see what happens after. Now they trap out of it.
Christie rotates into the open spot but doesn't get it going. Jamison with a rebound.
And there's where Clemson really needs a pickup. You know, wide open jump shot for Christie from 16 feet. You've got to make that one.
Carolina had what they wanted defensively. They had Buckner pinched on the side and nobody there to take the jumper. Here's Okalaja. Cota resets with 16 on the shot clock. Tar Heels up by 4. Jai to Okalaja, the 5th throwaway for Carolina in this first half.
If Jai does have a weakness, is when he's trying to make a play.
Well, any big man that far away from the basket, facing the basket, coaches will tell you that's dangerous.
Yeah. And, you know, if you're a guard, you've got to come and take that ball back away from him.
Turnover story. North Carolina with 5. Miller at the top of the floor. Here's Harold Jamison.
And Jamison again standing out front. See if they pop it down to him.
Christie for 3. Just missed his last 2. All saved into front court nicely by Christie. Johnny Miller gets Carter skyward. Beautiful feed of Jamison. Here's the 3rd foul on Jai.
Excellent play by Johnny Miller.
Jamison going to the rack.
And made the sensational pass here. We've been talking about make Jai work defensively on Jamison, and that was a sensational pass.
That's the 2nd straight attempt inside. Maktar Jai with his 3rd foul. And Harold Jamison going to the free throw line. 11 points, 3 rebounds, 3 out of 4 from the stripe. Stay tuned at halftime for Bell South's You Call the Play feature. A look at big plays from past ACC games.
There's Jai sitting down with the 3rd.
Brendan Haywood comes in. Highly touted freshman out of Greensboro.
These are really important minutes for Haywood. He's got to get the experience. He's got to give them adequate minutes here.
Jamison, 1 out of 2. Down into front court. Carolina. Offensive foul on Antawn Jamison. That's his 2nd.
Harold Jamison just hustling to get back down inside. He knew that Antawn would take it right to the hoop. Did a terrific job getting in position.
Harold Jamison did his job that time. 27-24. North Carolina in the lead. That's the 16th foul against the Tar Heels.
Boy, they are having the Jamisons are acting like brothers down here. Having some conversation, and it seems like good sportsmanship. Good competitive fire from both of them.
Johnny Miller, top of the floor. Here's Christie against the North Carolina zone.
A 2-3 zone. They've matched up out of it. They've trapped out of it, and they've played standard 2-3. This time they're staying with the 2-3.
They're packing it in as Clemson's last 2 attempts have come from in close.
I'd look for Johnny Miller to put a shot up from outside here.
Christie inside to Weidman. Nice feed from Harold Jamison. Tom Weidman for 2. 27-26. North Carolina by 1.
Good interior passing and that little short bounce pass inside.
Shammond Williams looks for Jamison. He has a step on Weidman.
Was that blocked by Christie?
Boy, that looked like it. Yep. And he's going to pick up the foul. Unfortunately, Christie for his 1st. That's Clemson's 4th team foul.
Jamison just explodes on the inside. Christie got up well, no question about the foul. All body there, knocking Jamison to the floor. Jamison, the number 2 scorer and rebounder in the ACC last year behind Tim Duncan, this year behind Matt Harpring.
And coming in, Woney and Buckner. The revolving door for Rick Barnes continues. Jamison and Christie will rest. As Antawn Jamison, junior from Charlotte, 12 points, 3 rebounds. 2-time All-ACC first team, hits a pair. North Carolina stretches their lead to 3, 29-26.
Buckner in there. Okalaja still on him.
That is the 5th team foul on Clemson, by the way. North Carolina already over the limit.
Here comes the trap. Somebody better come out and meet the ball. Good job by Roney.
Roney got into the middle and bailed out Miller that time. Here's Buckner. Wants to set up Weidman. Inside, Roney very active on Jamison.
Tough shot, though.
Jamison tries to save it. It's going to be North Carolina ball.
You look at this team on the floor now for Clemson. They've got a lot of different lineups out there. They've got to make sure that Buckner touches the ball with this particular team on the floor offensively. Because the 3 big guys inside are not going to score that much.
Johnny Williams will pick up the foul, trying to chase down Shammond Williams. That's the 16th foul now on Clemson. So next foul on Clemson, and both teams will be in the 1-on-1. Ed Cota returns. Okalaja coming out now for the Tar Heels. North Carolina's only played 3 games in Chapel Hill so far this season.
Speaks highly for being #1 and only having done that. You know, when February comes around, you'd be at home. You're a little bit more comfortable.
Shammond Williams wide open.
Boy, oh boy. In the United States on the college level, he's one of the guys you don't want to leave wide open.
7 points for Shammond Williams. North Carolina has its biggest lead, 32-26. 4:11 left.
Williams last year primarily played as a 2 guard, was the off guy all the time looking for that jump shot. This year has been doing a lot more with the ball in his hands.
Here's Buckner. Witt at the top of the floor. Jockeys past Cota for 2.
Nice move, and the other thing about Witt, as I said before on that matchup, he's got 5 or 6 inches. He could get that jump shot off.
32-28. Clemson with the steal. Johnny Miller.
Nice decision.
Tough pass to execute. And Clemson showed why that time. Buckner at the top of the floor. Miller for 3.
Huge shot for Clemson. With McIntyre not having the big game, Miller has to come off that bench, provide the minutes.
That cuts North Carolina's lead to 1. Miller hit 103 3-pointers in his first 2 years at Temple. 73 his rookie season. Williams rubs off Miller. Rebound underneath. Brendan Hayward was too far under.
Good hustle.
And it's Whips and Witt. Miller feeds Buckner in here.
You won't see that often. Cota and Williams are 2 pretty smart guards, and they didn't have good floor balance. Both caught inside.
Clemson with 7 unanswered points to retake the lead. 33-32.
Carter can't seem to get free down inside with Buckner. That's some matchup.
Williams backs off and drains a couple to put the crowd back in their seats. North Carolina back in the lead by 1.
Kind of what we expected, huh?
Yeah.
Fine ball game.
Well played, well thought out by both coaches. Miller got into no man's land.
He was looking to pass. Once he got up in the air, the shot was there, and he wasn't ready for it.
Hayward gets the rebound. Here comes Cota. And we've got a whistle and a foul.
But there's the difference. Clemson can afford to foul inside some. They've got, as we pointed out, 10 players. If they've got a couple of guys that can afford the 5 fouls, Roney being one of them.
Roney picks up his first penalty coming here, 1-on-1. Weidman comes out, and Harold Jamison is back in. So on for the 1-on-1 is going to be Jamison. The first 1-on-1 of this first half. 2:04 left to play.
Hayward having to play a lot of minutes now with Jai on that bench at the 7-minute mark.
Antawn Jamison is North Carolina's leading scorer with 14. Tony Christie checks back in. And Vincent Witt going out.
And you can see what Rick Barnes is doing. He's shuffling players in and out. Again, another guy coming in that can commit some fouls. Force North Carolina to foul and use up a lot of energy.
Antawn Jamison's card for the day. 15 points for him. And a timeout coming. 2:04 left to go in his first half. Plenty of action here at Littlejohn. Greg Buckner, 2 of his 16 spectacular first half points, with the Tar Heels leading by 3. Citizens Bank, a corporate partner of the ACC, presents this Salute to Excellence question. Who was the MVP of the 1997 ACC tournament? Stay tuned. We'll have the answer for you before the end of the game. You want a hint? We've talked about him this afternoon. Terrell McIntyre back in the lineup for the Clemson Tigers. Slowed by a deep bruise on his right foot in the heel area. In other words, an area you can't itch.
In a game that Terrell's having like this, he's got to get the ball in his hands and start trying to make some plays. Don't come in off that bench cold and try to start shooting right away.
Christie finds Jamison.
Dangerous pass.
Especially with Cota lurking like that near McIntyre. North Carolina leading 36-33. There's the move by McIntyre. Ooh, Allenspach went up over everybody. Oh, loose, and Cota comes out of it. North Carolina looking to build on a 3-point lead. Minute 28 to go. Shammond Williams. Okalaja with a shot fake. Buckner on him. Cota drags Christie out near midcourt for the rewind. Cota for three.
Unusual for him to say, look at Buckner go up. Wow, what a rebound.
And he was held.
One hand. We talked about his vertical leap. Very much underrated. Terrific rebound.
The foul is going to be on Haywood.
We see Cota taking that jumper. And here is that rebound I'm talking about. One hand being pushed by a 7-footer and pulls it down anyway.
So Buckner up for 1-1. Game's leading score.
That was only Cota's 10th three on the year. Talked about a surprising shot.
Buckner misses the front half, and North Carolina recovers the rebound. Haywood picks it up. Buckner 16 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists. Final minute of the first half, North Carolina by 3. Cota looking for Okalaja. Williams for 3.
That's a push off. Clemson gets by with a foul there.
Carter gets it back. That and the foul.
Allenspach makes a freshman mistake. You might as well let Vince have that one rather than come down and chop him at the end, because now he gets a chance for 3. He gets by with a push off. Good job, freshman against freshman there. But right here, you're better off letting him put that one away. He just can elevate too high.
22nd timeout taken by Clemson as Vince Carter awaits the 3-point play opportunity. Carter with 7 points. Did not start this game. What I thought really was interesting about North Carolina, Billy, in this first half. Yeah, Clemson got out of the blocks quickly. Once North Carolina got the matchups under control, things started to go their way.
Well, that alphabetical starting lineup, kind of tough to set the matchups that way, but you know, Bill Guthrie's shows a great confidence level that he has to say, hey, this is what the system's going to be. This is the way I'm going to do it. And he got by with it so far, at least here today.
Here's Vince Carter trying to finish off a 3-point play. And he does. Carter with 8 points on the afternoon. North Carolina's lead up to 6. That matches their biggest. 39-33, 39 seconds left to go.
If you're Rick Barnes, you want to see McIntyre do something before this half is over. Make a good pass. Make some kind of a shot if possible. The pass would be better than a shot for him right now, as cool as he's been.
Buckner. Shot clock and game clock are 6 seconds apart. Game clock at 18.
Good double. Good double.
Trapped and in trouble. Christie right back to McIntyre. 5 on the shot clock. He yields the shot to Christie. Allenspach couldn't get it going. 4 seconds to play. Shammond Williams in the open floor. And there's a jump ball with a possession going North Carolina's way.
You know, that probably helped North Carolina because they weren't in a position to make a good play. Now they've got 6 seconds
to make something happen. Coming into the ball game, Tom Weidman.
It's hard to tell on that score clock. Is that 6 seconds or 6/10 of a second?
That should be 6/10.
6/10. So, well, they don't have a lot of time. But they do have time to catch and shoot, and there it is.
And then it will not go. for Vince Carter.
That was a quick 0.6 of a second, wasn't it?
He brought it down, threw it up, but it wouldn't go in. And North Carolina storms back after spotting a Clemson lead of 7. It's North Carolina 39, Clemson 33 at intermission at Littlejohn.
ACC basketball is brought to you by BP, by Nationwide Insurance, by Bell South, and by Buick.
Welcome back to Littlejohn Coliseum, sold out for the 7th time to watch the Clemson Tigers battle the top-ranked Tar Heels. North Carolina leading here 39-33. They're packed to the rafters on a nice January day outside. It's hot inside. We talked about the point guard matchup. We've already talked about McIntyre's problems with his injury, and they are showing up.
Well, points, assists, and steals 0-0-0. McIntyre has taken 3 shots. Now, when you're having this kind of day, you've got to get involved in the game in 2 ways. 1, really start putting out defensively to get yourself moving. And number 2, start distributing the basketball, not looking for the shot first, but the pass first. Let's see if McIntyre can get on track.
Survey, after a long absence, back in. Here's Greg Buckner trying to start the second half like he did the first.
Good hands again by Jamison on that rebound.
Here comes Cota for North Carolina. Tar Heels lead it 39-33.
Straight man-to-man by Clemson. They've stayed that way just about all day with the exception of little flat 2-3 zone.
Here's Williams getting by McIntyre and gets in to score.
Terrific body movement by Williams against the Turbe. McIntyre just nowhere near as quick as normal, and that foot giving him a lot of problems.
Christie on the wing. Here comes McIntyre, loses Cota this time and scores his first basket of the game. McIntyre responds to the charge, and it's still a 6-point Tar Heel lead.
And Rick Barnes gives a big sigh of relief.
Here's Jamison, triple team.
Nice judgment by Jai that time.
To find Williams. He'll always pay you back. Williams with 3. He's got 14.
Instead of making the bad, tough pass, Jai made the easy play. North Carolina really benefited.
Tar Heels are out to their biggest lead now, 9. Christie to McIntyre. Screen roll in the middle of the floor.
Good pump.
McIntyre for 3.
Not the shot that you want.
And McIntyre tips the ball away from Williams to stop the break.
Steve, you know, watching one of the great shooters in the game night in, night out, Glenn Rice, you shoot with your feet first, and McIntyre not being able to use that foot for almost 2 weeks now, doesn't have the elevation needed on that jump shot, and it really hurts him. So my question is, why take that shot when it's not necessary?
Well, McIntyre yields to Johnny Miller now, and Ed Cota comes down into the front court for North Carolina with their biggest lead of the game. Shammond Williams traveled with the ball.
Good idea.
He had a step on Miller and knew it. That's the 8th turnover for North Carolina.
Williams, obviously a great shooter last year, 94 threes on the year, but was primarily a perimeter player. This year, taking the ball to hoop much better, tougher to guard.
Tar Heels with 8 turnovers. That hasn't shown up on the scoreboard yet. Turbe drives and has his shot blocked out of bounds. The announcers for this game are selected and compensated by Raycom and Jefferson Pilot Sports. Any use of this broadcast without their express permission is prohibited.
It's a really dangerous time for Clemson here. They started the second half and not really looking for a way to consistently get off good shots. And kind of like one-on-one efforts.
There's a Turbe. Tries to step his way inside Jamison and draws the foul. And the foul is on Antawn Jamison. That's going to be his 3rd.
Now, if you're Clemson and Carter's coming in, whether it be Jamison or Jai that stays out on the floor, whoever they're guarding, that's who ought to be touching the ball down the other end. They've got to get North Carolina in foul trouble quickly here in the second half.
Turbe gets his first point of the game. Carter checks in. Now Cota is going to go out.
So they've got a chance to go after either one of those guys. And I would say try Jamison's man first.
Well, you'll take care of 2 things at once.
Absolutely.
Turbe. And there's one of the things that Antawn Jamison does well, to the tune of 8 a game. Up court pass to Okalaja, too strong. Weidman board.
If he hadn't touched it, that might have gone in.
Turbe, nice quick pass to Christie, gathers himself and scores, plus a foul on Okalaja.
Okalaja almost made the interception. A terrific concentration by Christie. Okalaja had all ball for a while. It was just at the last second he grabbed part of the hand.
That's his second
There
foul.
it is. Terrific job by Christie.
One of the things that Rick Barnes has got to really be worried about, as Rick Hartzell now talks to the North Carolina players lined up and the Clemson players lined up in between Jai and Carter. Rick Barnes has not been able to get an awful lot of point production out of guys that he's counted on. Christie and Witt have only had combined now 4, and that was Christie's first basket of the game.
As a freshman, this young guy averaged 8 points a game. Had some outstanding games, like 15 against Wake Forest. Now, that was an outstanding Wake Forest team and really fell off last year. And you're right, Rick Barnes needs this guy to step up.
Stress fracture in his foot slowed him last year. And Barnes has challenged him this year to start to produce, especially with McIntyre off his game and sporting an injury.
And Clemson, a very poor free throw shooting team.
60% compared to North Carolina's 69%. Okalaja steps to the circle. North Carolina up 44-38. Here's Carter on the move.
Oh, what a beautiful shot.
Oh, my goodness. 10 points for Vince Carter. 46-38. Tar Heels by 8.
It's really great when you can go into the middle and just go up in the air until you get yourself open and then release.
63% shooting. It's not all dunks. Jamison gets the rebound off the miss by Weidman.
I don't see any consistency in what Clemson's trying to do offensively. It's kind of one-on-one action.
And they don't seem to be picking apart those matchups that we talked about. Foul out front on Johnny Miller.
They started out the second half getting the good shot for Buckner. He didn't hit it, but it was the good kind of shot you want.
It's Weidman with the foul, they say now. That's his second. First team foul on Clemson. Weidman checks out, and Harold Jamison comes in.
Jamison was the guy that gave him a big lift in the first half.
Matched up defensively with Jai. Let's see what happens at the other end. Jamison. Carter working inside.
Impossible shot.
And Harold Jamison picks up the rebound. Oh, Maktar Jai almost picking up the 4th foul. Here's Johnny Miller for 3. Antawn Jamison wrestles the board loose. 46-38 Carolina.
And you notice North Carolina able to play this game kind of at the pace they want here. At with about 5 minutes to go in that first half, they started getting at their pace, and certainly it's been that way here in the second half.
Okalaja sees Jai. Jai looking for someone to come to the post. Cota says, let's rewind this thing. 10 on the shot clock.
They're looking for Carter to get some kind of a lob here sooner or later. He hadn't been able to get one off today.
Here's Jamison and a foul inside.
Well, that's Jai's 4th, pushing off inside.
Is it a foul or is it a 3? 3 seconds violation.
Just 3?
Yeah, I think it's a 3-second violation. That's what they're saying. Jai was making a house inside, so that's not his 4th personal. Timeout on the court with 15:56 left in the second half, and North Carolina leading Clemson 46-38. It's a beautiful day in the upstate, about 65 degrees at Clemson, but somewhere far away it was not so warm. Matter of fact, in Anchorage, Alaska, that's what you saw. Both Clemson and North Carolina went to Alaska this season. They were treated to dog sled rides. Vince Carter said, I'm from Florida. But Charlotte's Antawn Jamison took part, and he's about to get the ride of his life. His driver fell off, and there was just Antawn to mush the crew. The preseason All-American decided to turn the sled over before heading further into the wilderness. Didn't bother his point production, though. 23.5 points, 8 rebounds. He's getting a breather, sitting next to Phil Ford.
And there's that 2-3 zone that was shown in the first half. And they're trapping out of it.
Here's Buckner trying to drive through it and challenges Jai and scores. Buckner with 18. And Clemson cuts the Carolina lead to 6.
Well, a pretty nice move by Jai as well, not to pick up that 4th foul.
It goes off his hands. But it was last touched by Harold Jamison. It'll be North Carolina ball with 28 on the shot clock.
You know, Trajan Langdon, the only Alaskan that's playing in the ACC, when questioned about those dog sled rides, said, "I've never been behind one." He's a guy from Alaska. You'd think that the other guys had listened to him.
Vince Carter did. Antawn didn't. Okalaja. Followed by Muhammad Woni. Down to Williams. Vincent Witt matched up on him. Okalaja from outside. Buckner with a rebound.
Buckner, a solid game.
Scored the game's first 9 points for Clemson. He's on the move again and draws the foul.
That's Jai's fourth.
Yep.
Now, one of the reasons probably that Carter hasn't been able to get that dunk is that Buckner's been right in his shirt all day long. Good block out here, shows his strength, pulls it down. The second time he's grabbed one with one hand.
Antawn Jamison now has 4. Still on the floor, however, as Greg Buckner is on the free throw line and is approaching 20 points.
Bill Guthridge can't. He has to understand he's got his fourth. I'm surprised he's still on the floor.
Well, when he picked up his second, Billy, he stayed with him for another 3 minutes, and it paid off.
Hey, we got 15 minutes to go in a ball game. A lot of time here, though.
Buckner with 20. Clemson cuts the North Carolina lead to 4. 15:07 left. Here comes Cota. Vincent Witt is a big cover on him, but not as quick.
Great defense against a backdoor cut by Christie.
Okalaja throws it away. Carter or Cota couldn't hang on. It's the 11th Tar Heel turnover.
Now's the time to get that ball down inside on Jai's man, and I believe he's guarding Jamison. See if Clemson recognizes what they ought to do here.
Vincent Witt at the point. Christie on the wing.
They're in man-to-man. Nobody even looking to get that ball inside.
And here's Buckner from the circle for 2. Buckner with 22. Clemson cuts the lead to 2.
Preseason all-conference first-team player having one of those kind of days.
18 points off turnovers for the Clemson Tigers this afternoon. It's brought them back from a 9-point deficit. Cota. Okalaja to Williams. Cota on the attack. Bumps around. Ball lost inside. We got a travel violation. The 12th turnover for North Carolina.
Cota normally drives looking to pass. That time he got caught in the air and took up a bad shot.
Bill Guthridge's gamble with Antawn Jamison lasts a minute. Antawn Jamison comes back into the ball game.
But Steve, he wasn't even made to pay for that coaching move there. Clemson had the ball. They had Jai with 4 fouls. They have him guarding Jamison, and nobody ever let Jamison see the ball.
Maybe that's because Terrell McIntyre isn't available to run the offense. Vincent Witt might not have been looking for that. Jamison at the top. Here's Buckner. Over Carter. Boy, that's a cooler. And right now, Buckner's winning it. 24 points.
You show the respect Carter had for Buckner's ability to put the ball on the floor and explode. He stayed away from him on that jumper.
46-46. Clemson has come all the way back from 9 down.
This reminds me of the game Buckner had against Kentucky when they beat a #1 last year, huh?
He and Harold Jamison had big games that night. Williams off mark. Clemson with a rebound. Buckner again. Buckner for 3.
Well, when it's going good, but see, here's what happens.
Long shots, you get long rebounds, and Carter with a highlight film.
And you don't really have a true guard on the floor, so consequently you have everybody underneath the basket, no defensive balance. Big mistake for Clemson.
Nobody in center field. 48-46, North Carolina in the lead.
And go back into the 2-3 zone. It's interesting to watch what they do out of it. Sometimes they just play it flat and standard.
Hands. He's in trouble. Carter with a steal.
Again, no back court.
Foul on Christie as Williams went in, but you're right, Billy. There's nobody to pop back there when the long ball comes out of the corner.
See, you have Witt down inside. Christie not accustomed to play out on the point. Consequently, no defensive balance. Carter going in. Flush that one. Again, nobody back again. Williams, who can take it to the hole as well.
And Williams, one of the ACC's best free throw shooters, on the free throw line now for North Carolina.
Some real mental breakdowns for Clemson here in the last minute.
Williams with 15. Strong game for him. As Terrell McIntyre and Tom Weidman look on. It'll be Christie coming out of the ball game. Buckner gets a rest. Iturbe is back on with Muhammad Woney and Johnny Miller.
Rick Barnes showing a lot of confidence here, just down 3, saying we've got plenty of chances for a couple of more runs against Carolina. Use some of the bench.
Williams with a pair, has 16 for the game. Rick Barnes looks on as his Clemson Tigers take the floor with a more natural point guard now on the floor in Johnny Miller.
But where do the points come from if they don't go inside? Woney is not going to score big. Jamison staying outside.
North Carolina with the overplay. Woney finds Witt. 20 on the shot clock, plenty of time. Witt's baseliner doesn't go. Jamison, right back in by Jamison. Harold Jamison with 13. Clemson cuts the Carolina lead to 2. Oda at the top. Great battle inside between the two Jamisons. Williams over Miller.
Tough shot. There's the hands.
Ooh, Antawn Jamison with a turnaround, his 17th point of the game. North Carolina 52, Clemson 48.
I think that young man has any kind of stick-em that he plays with. Terrific hands.
Makes a great target when you want to throw into the post. He can catch him in all different directions. Jamison. Look at the wide berth Antoine gives him. Turbe.
Nice touch.
Shooter's touch, right?
That was really an important shot for Clemson because they don't really have anybody. You could say that Miller may want to take a shot outside. Witt likes the pull-up jumper. They needed that too.
Now, key minutes for Clemson as they try to get Greg Buckner some rest. 52-50 North Carolina. Okalaja for 3.
Excellent penetration by Williams. Woney got caught halfway in between.
55-50 North Carolina. Okalaja's second triple of the game. Well, McIntyre getting set to check back in now for the Tigers. Turbe to Witt.
Look at how far that defense is packed inside. Almost 5 guys had their feet inside the blue painted area there.
Really not a valid outside threat outside of Johnny Miller. Miller at the top of the floor. Witt will fly one out for 3. Cota with a rebound. North Carolina by 5. And a foul by Witt as Cota did the behind-the-back changeover.
Witt's lack of experience. He takes the outside jumper, chases it down inside, then fouls in the open court area against a superior ball handler.
Near the midway point of the second half, and North Carolina clings to a 5-point lead over the Clemson Tigers.
Well, one of the keys to today's game is going to be Jamison and Jamison. Here we'll see them battling for inside position. Real war there. Good job by Jamison on Jamison, but watch what happens right here on the blockouts. Just the quickness of Antoine and those great hands in the putback. He scores again.
Nearing a double-double, 17 points, 9 rebounds. He sits out, takes a break. Antawn Jamison is back in, playing with 4 personals.
Buckner back in the game as well.
And Terrell McIntyre is on the floor. He's guarding Shammond Williams. North Carolina 5-5, 55-50. We're at the halfway mark of the second half. Carter's shot off. Jai comes up with a rebound. Williams takes an angle. Here comes Cota.
Beautiful passing.
Rebound comes away to Buckner, who's back on the floor for the Tigers.
Didn't work out, but good passing by North Carolina.
Tar Heels lead is 5. We're under 10 to play. McIntyre with only 2 points in this game.
Buckner's down inside with Cota. They've got to get him the ball. Weidman knows he's there, but Jai's playing a one-man zone.
So Iturbe takes the 3. Jai with a rebound. Antawn Jamison, 3 big blocks that really changed the momentum of this game around defensively for North Carolina in the first half.
And you know, if you chart his play today, I don't know if he's had a mental breakdown as well. And sometimes those can be more devastating than a physical breakdown. He's really played a fine game.
Okalaja Dakota.
Good cross.
Here's Williams, draws 3 Tigers and scores.
Great change off the pass.
18 points for Shammond Williams. North Carolina's lead is back up to 7.
He is so much more difficult to guard this year.
Gives Bill Guthridge a lot of confidence. Yeah, I can sit with 6 players. 2-7 today.
Weidman not looking ever to shoot. North Carolina knows that.
Weidman. They don't even double him on the baseline. Here's Buckner inside.
Push off.
And Loney, I think, is going to be charged with a foul.
Pushed off from the back. We'll see it. Very easy to call with that baseline official. There's the push. Loney gets the rebound. Rick Barnes standing up. Everybody remembers in his first year, he was thrown out of a ball game against North Carolina. Maybe he had a little bit to complain about. North Carolina that day was on that foul. They made 32 free throws, and Clemson made 3. So, Bill Guthridge was the head coach for a half. Dean Smith was thrown out of a game here in 1972 with Bill Guthridge finished up on that bench as the head man.
Here's Carter for 3 outside. 3 big ones that stretches the lead to 10, the biggest of the day.
I think Clemson needs to be thinking timeout here to get reorganized.
Carter with 15. It's his second 3-pointer. 60-50. The Tar Heels in the lead. Here's Woney. Big first bucket.
Big play by Woney. Stepped right in the center of the 2-3 zone.
60-52. North Carolina in the lead. They've had a 5 to 8 point stiff arm most of the second half. Cota inside. Carter.
Beautiful. Just went over the top of Christie.
Cota now with a strong, or rather Carter with a strong second half of 9.
And look at this North Carolina defense. A flat 2-3 zone. I'm saying to Clemson, you haven't shown me you can shoot outside yet today, so I'm going to let you prove it going down a stretch.
Christie in the corner. To Buckner. Clemson probing, looking. 6 on the shot clock. Christie from the corner for 3.
Very important shot.
Took a while, Billy, but it was 62-55, North Carolina.
McIntyre, notice, didn't try to throw up his shot, which hasn't been able to go all day.
Cota with a double dribble. The high dribble came off the floor. He lost track of it. And it's the 13th turnover for the Tar Heels, but they lead Clemson by 7 with a timeout on the floor and 6:50 left in the second half. ACC basketball is brought to you in part by Toyota. North Carolina leading Clemson 62-55. Some days even the surest point guards have trouble.
Well, you see what we talk about in regard to Palm. The ball gets up on Ed Cota. If he had let that ball both either come back down or let it touch it on the way back down with his palm up, he'd have been all right. But he had his palm underneath the ball, and that caused the turnover.
And North Carolina's 13th miscue of the game, but they have the lead here, 62-55 with 6:50 left to go. Cota, no points, 8 assists. He'd only had 2 points against Bethune-Cookman, a game when you would think that everybody would get a chance to score, but he handed out a career-high 12 assists.
Looking for the back screen for Buckner, picked up well by Jive.
Antawn Jamison swings to Ikari Turbe. This is Buckner, the game's leading scorer. Buckner forces his way in, count the basket, and the foul.
Steve, remember what I talked about? Clemson needed the timeout to get themselves organized for the good shot. You can see what they got there. They really set up a good offensive movement to get Buckner the ball. Clemson, because they are not a good shooting team, needs to do more of that. Really work on getting the ball to the right guy at the right time.
Buckner with 2 of his 26, make it 27.
Some teams do that naturally. Clemson does not, and it's something that they're going to really win big ball games. They have got to learn to do that.
This is a season high for Buckner, who's 3 away from tying a career high. And with a foul, Ikari Turbe forcing Vince Carter away from what would have been an alley-oop.
Even for Carter, that would have been tough to put away. Iturbe's awful strong, but you can see how sharp Cota is with that. Usually when Carter catches that ball, it's almost close to being a shot that might have gone in.
3rd foul on Iturbe, 15th foul on Clemson. North Carolina has 4. Cota to Shammond Williams. Open jump shot.
Got to give Christie some help when Cota comes off a tight screen like that.
Williams with 20 points for the 4th time this season. Leads North Carolina to a 64-58 lead. Antawn Jamison, top of the floor. 6 to play now as Weidman yields to Greg Buckner. Buckner looking for Jamison, and he's got Jai on him playing with 4. Back to Christie as the shot clock hits 10. Jamison.
2 possessions in a row. Clemson gets the ball in the hands of the right guy.
64-60. Clemson comes clawing back to within 4. Shammond Williams. Cota on the wing. Williams looking for Jamison. Gets it right back. And Buckner with a big rebound.
Good help defense that time by Christie.
6th board by Buckner, and a double dribble again, this time for Clemson. It's a 7th turnover for Rick Barnes' team.
Coming up the court, looking to make the pass, and nobody there. Again, though, a mental breakdown, Steve.
Yeah.
Why would Buckner be bringing the ball up the court? If you're a backcourt player, come back and take the ball away from him and let him get down in scoring position.
Clemson has feasted off North Carolina's turnovers. Carolina would like to cash these into 2 and increase the buffer from 4. Antawn Jamison back on the floor with Carter, Jai, Okalaja, and Shammond Williams as Ed Cota gets a rest. The other way around, it's Buckner, Iturbe, Witt, Weidman, and Jamison.
4 men down on the baseline to clear out for Williams.
Williams, the ball kicked by Witt, a recycle of the 35-second shot clock.
But this team really gets along well with each other. You notice that good talk, everybody pumping everybody up. Okalaja comes out to Williams, say, don't worry about it. Get it the next time.
These 6 know each other well. They play all the minutes. Shammond Williams. Here's Carter, and Jai has picked up his 5. He hooked Tom Weidman inside, and he has fouled out.
And now Jai comes down to talk to the rest of the guys. He trying to show a little leadership. I said, how this team gets along.
Jai with 7 rebounds, 4 points, 3 key first half blocks that held things sane for North Carolina inside defensively while they got their feet on the ground, and when they did, they powered to a 6-point halftime lead. Now they'll have to go the rest of the way without it. And the rest of the way means 4:47 in regulation. Harold Jamison to Tom Weidman. Buckner.
Buckner wanted that pass on the other side. That's long.
Didn't want that shot. Got the 7th board of the game in his credit, however. Iturbe calling the offense from the top. A lot of what's happening to Clemson, Billy, is the fact that they don't have a natural point out there.
Right.
Iturbe.
Goes around Williams. I think he really surprised Williams by taking that ball all the way. Terrific move.
64-62. North Carolina by 2. They're making noise in Littlejohn now as Williams penetrates Cota. Cota with the rewind, 9 on the shot clock.
Good defense by Witt, but then he reaches in the end.
Reaches in, Billy, at a point where he was about to pick up some help.
Absolutely. You got to figure that Cota wants to pass the ball, not shoot it. So he didn't need to reach.
Got a timeout on the court. Witt with his 2nd foul. That's the 16th foul on Clemson, and the Tigers are just 2 back with 3:45 to play. Another look at our Nations Bank ACC Salute to Excellence question. Who is the MVP of the 1997 ACC tournament? The answer, North Carolina's Shammond Williams. Averaged 20 points a game, 56% from the field to lead the Tar Heels to their 14th ACC title. Got 20 on this particular afternoon.
You know, when you think of this North Carolina run with this basic group of ball players, they won 16 straight before Arizona beat them in the NCAA semifinals, the Final Four last year, and they're 14 straight so far this year. So that's, what, 30 out of the last 31. Not bad.
Best stretch of 31 games in North Carolina's storied history. Cota. Top of the floor, 3.5 to play. Okalaja for 3.
Oh, and he got fouled as well. Not called. Some shot.
All 3 of his field goals have been triples. 67-62.
Well, he was the big man in the Georgia game with key shooting.
Scored the last 5 points in regulation. Buckner across to Iturbe. Carolina in their tight zone.
Nobody stepping out to extend that zone at all.
Jamison with a save. Buckner has to hurry. 7 on the shot clock.
He's going to look for a shot. He got fouled.
Williams. That's the 16th foul on North Carolina. Ball will be side out for Clemson.
Bill Ford jumped off that bench and held up his finger and said, hey, there's just 3 seconds left. Don't foul out there. Because you knew Buckner was going to have to put it up.
And Christie checks back in. Vincent Witt comes out. Christie will handle the point duties for the most part. As Iturbe splits the defense. 5-point North Carolina lead. 2:47 to play.
Weidman see no threat when he steps out because he's not even going to take the shot. So it's really 5 men playing 4.
There's Jamison a little too deep on the baseline. Weidman turns, fires.
Good rebound.
Harold Jamison in traffic, going to finish himself.
Great rebound by Jamison.
17 points for Jamison. 2-point lead for the Tar Heels. We're into the final 2 minutes. 3-point lead.
You know, if you're North Carolina, you want to foul in that kind of situation against the Clemson. They're shooting only 59%.
Shammond Williams tries to stick a 3. And Jamison saved it in bounds incredibly.
Well, he made a wise decision. He didn't want to throw it back underneath the basket.
6th rebound. Christie comes back the other way. Here comes Buckner. Under 2 to play. Clemson 3 down.
Taking a lot of time out there.
Okalaja with a steal. Iturbe ties him up. Possession arrow goes to Carolina.
No true point guard in the game. You can see how much the club misses McIntyre right now. It's a preseason first team All-ACC. You can see nobody out there in the backcourt. Boy, Iturbe went right to the floor with Okalaja.
And Okalaja's hurt a little bit, but he gets up. That's the case for Rick Barnes today.
Bill Guthridge doing a nice job over there saying, hey, let's just take a timeout, let our guys get settled down. 1:38 to go. Kind of in control here.
22nd timeout taken by the Tar Heels, who lead it by 3, 67-64. Coming up tomorrow on most of these same Raycom Sports, Jefferson Pilot Sports stations, it's ACC basketball. Wake Forest taking on the Virginia Cavaliers, live from Richmond, and you'll see it beginning at 1 o'clock. Check your local listings for the ACC station in your area. Clemson against number 1 hasn't been very lucky. 1-19. Their last victory against Duke in 1980.
That was the year they also beat North Carolina when North Carolina had James Worthy and company. Beat them 93-76 here.
67-64 our score now with North Carolina in the lead by 3 and 1:27 to play.
Looking for the 5-second call. Got to get closer. Christie's got to get closer to try to draw the 5. Doesn't do any good there.
Well, Christie respecting Cota's quickness. Here comes Carter. And a foul coming up on Harold Jamison to take away the highlight dunk by Carter.
Not many guys in the league that are capable of going up there with Carter. Jamison's so strong. Rick Barnes going to get McIntyre in the game to go ahead. There is Jamison going up there. A good clean play. Just a competitive play.
And Carter going to the free throw line. The problem with Clemson, Billy, is without a pure point guard, sure, they're scoring on possessions, but they're taking a lot of time getting into their offense.
Right, and McIntyre sitting down at, does he have 2 points so far today and not really been able to distribute the ball? And in fairness to the young guy, You know, when you're taking off your feet with that injury that he had to the foot, you're just really not back in full playing shape.
When you talk about Clemson, you got to think without a true point guard, they've done well to stay within 3 points here. Okalaja has blood on the elbow, and so he'll get attention over there, and the Tar Heels will have to bring Brendan Haywood back into the ball game.
You know, Steve, I looked at that list of #1 teams. I was thinking last year when they opened up with Kentucky. Kentucky was #1, but I guess it was Kansas #1 at that time. And Kentucky had won the national championship, but didn't start out the season #1.
Carter on for 2. Carter is 67% free throw shooter, so Jamison's foul was a good one. That is the 17th foul, by the way, on Clemson. So Carolina in the 1-1 for the remainder.
Now, who are you going to look for three-point shooting if you're Clemson? Christie, McIntyre, who hasn't really been able to get anything going. Miller's on the bench.
Carter missed them both. And Jamison comes up with a rebound.
Too early to think three right now, but if you'd like to touch the ball to anybody, it'd be Buckner.
And there he is. Carolina playing, looks like a box and one, and they're chasing McIntyre. Christie, top of the floor.
Well, they're playing a triangle in 2. They've got Buckner and McIntyre being guarded man-to-man. Other 3 guys playing his own.
Ooh, McIntyre was open. Weidman tries to jockey in.
Great rebound by Jamison.
Up and off, but a foul. And the foul is on Antawn Jamison. And that is 4 on Antawn Jamison, stopping the clock with 41.9 seconds left.
The Jamisons, the brothers Jamison, have put on quite a show off the boards today. Obviously, they're not brothers, but they have really played terrific basketball game.
We've got a timeout called at 20, and it's taken, I believe, by Clemson. So a 20-second timeout with 41.9 seconds left to go. Harold Jamison getting set to go to the line. He's a 50% free throw shooter, Billy, but he was 14 out of 18 coming in today over the last 4 games. And will be a key part of this finish here in the second half with the Tar Heels leading the Tigers by 3.
Well, when you think of ways to get beat in the college level, you think of poor backcourt play and not being able to make free throws. 2 things, if you're a Clemson fan, got to scare you now with 41 seconds to go. McIntyre, a far cry from what we would hope that he'll get back to as this year moves on. And Clemson on that free throw line, where they are now just a little bit above the all-time low in the league from the free throw line, which the record they hold.
60% right now. This man shoots 50% on the season. 7 out of 11 today.
Short. They're going to shoot it
foul.
over again in the lane.
Oh, yes, Okalaja got in. It was a 1-and-1. That's the 17th foul on North Carolina.
Get a chance, 3 to make 2 here.
Yeah. So Jamison Ames.
I guess they didn't call him in the lane.
No. And the rebound comes away to North Carolina. Antawn Jamison picks it up. Tar Heels by 3. 33 seconds. Here's the steal. McIntyre and the trip on Ed Cota.
Very unusual to see Cota, but nice sportsmanship by Cota. Goes over and pats McIntyre. Good steal. He tripped up McIntyre, goes over here and kind of pats him on the back and helps him off the floor. Nice sportsmanship.
They only lost 10 seconds in the exchange, and they're at the same juncture, but now they've got an 80% free throw shooter on the line.
Helps.
So McIntyre may not be able to contribute in assists and scoring from the field, but he can help his team greatly right now. As did with the steal. No.
Can you believe it?
2 1-and-1s and a foul on the rebounding action by Tom Weidman. So we'll walk to the other end of the court. Weidman's 3rd, team's 8th. And shots coming up now for the Tar Heels. We'll have a chance to put this thing on ice with 29.4 seconds left to go. They're up by 3, 67-64.
You know, the interesting thing, too, Steve, and you brought it up earlier, this Carolina team has been on the road what seems like for an eternity. So if they could come away with a win at Clemson and a win at Florida State, there aren't going to be many teams in the league that do that.
18 points for Antawn Jamison. He is 8 out of 9 from the stripe. this afternoon. There's the free throw story. Jamison with a pick.
You've got to be thinking 3 now. Get it down quickly, get it up.
69-64 North Carolina. McIntyre to Buckner.
Not even looking for it. Got to get it up.
Shot clock is gone. Here's the 3, McIntyre. Timeout on the court with 18 seconds left to go. McIntyre's triple makes this a 2-point game in favor of North Carolina. It's a full timeout. And we'll return after this message from the Atlantic Coast Conference.
What is it that binds us to this place as to no other? It is not the well or the bell or the stone walls or the crisp October nights or the memory of dogwoods blooming. Love for this place is based on the fact that it is, as it was meant to be, the University of the people.
Leading the way, the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill.
Much of the damage from hurricanes could be prevented, according to research at Clemson University, a national leader in wind engineering. Construction practices, not wind speeds, are often to blame for structural damage from windstorms. Using a unique wind tunnel, Clemson researchers have found ways to prevent most wind damage for a small percentage of a home's cost, saving property and lives. Clemson University's leadership, making a difference.
Here's a look back into our ACC archives. Duke came to Clemson rated #1 first week in 1980. Mike Jaminski had 30 points for the Blue Devils, but it wasn't enough. Billy Williams comes back to score 19. Moose Campbell would add 23 points and 7 rebounds. Game tied at 66 at the end of regulation, but Clemson outscored North Carolina, or Duke actually, 21-16 for the overtime win. 87-82. There's Larry Nance, Clemson forward in the late 70s. Had a double-double in that game. The largest crowd ever to see a game at 13,863. Is he just checking the location of his car or what?
Well, you know, maybe he doesn't want to see the end. No, he's standing, you know, let's, in fairness to Larry, he's standing down the end. He just wants to make sure he has a good run out.
That's right.
He's in the hot rod business now. I talked to him the other day, and he said it's a little bit too expensive, though, even with those NBA dollars he received over the years.
You saw the reset. Carolina with 2 fulls and a 20. Clemson with 1 of each and a quick foul in backcourt. Christie with the foul on Shammond Williams, who is the best free throw shooter on the floor.
Witt tried to get the foul completely. Now, there's a little bit of a breakdown there again. You know you're going to go out on the floor. You know you want a foul. So why wouldn't you double team the best free throw shooter to make sure he doesn't touch the ball, forcing the ball to be passed to somebody who's not as good a free throw shooter?
Shammond Williams 4 for 4 on the afternoon. 15.1 seconds left to go. He leads the ACC, as you can see there. And he bags the front half of a 1-and-1.
Now it becomes a game of arithmetic. Three-point game.
Makes this one, forced Clemson to make a 3 plus a steal.
So now they've got to go down, and 2 is as good as 3 right here.
McIntyre brings it into front court.
2 is as good as 3, but he's got to take it to the hoop.
Here's the 3. Buckner no good. Rebound, North Carolina, Shammond Williams, and the immediate foul.
And there's a case where guys have to be thinking about the arithmetic. You're down by 4. The 3-point shot is not that important anyway. Take it to the basket and hope maybe you get fouled. Get the easier shot.
Dennis Felton showing his disdain for the goings-on here in the closing seconds as North Carolina is about to lock this thing up with 6.1 seconds left to go. Shammond Williams back on the free throw line. It's interesting how the great ones managed to touch the ball at the key junctures of this game. Williams, 23.
And this confidence level for the University of North Carolina just keeps soaring and soaring. And if you're Clemson, you're going to have to keep readjusting here until McIntyre gets back at full strength.
Williams with the pair. The lead is now 6 with 6.1 seconds left to go.
Needs 2 threes. Got to take a quick 3.
Here's McIntyre. Shuns 1. Goes to Buckner. He gets 1. And a timeout call by Clemson. I think it's going to be a 20. They take their final 20-second timeout with 0.2 seconds left to go. Now, 0.2 seconds, it should be. They'll probably put a little more time on this clock in tenths of seconds. In 2/10 of a second, you can't do anything.
Well, right. You just can touch it and slap at it. Buckner's got 30 points in the game. That's a career high for him. And really had periods in this game where he did not touch the ball really enough.
There's the game reset. The possession goes to Clemson in case they can tie up the inbounds pass. That seems to be their only hope at this point in time.
Or the other thing that you could do is try to draw a charge on somebody going to get the ball and maybe get a foul before the clock
That's right,
goes.
before the clock comes in.
That'd be about the only thing you could do here.
And that's it. North Carolina holds on and defeats the Clemson Tigers by a score of 73-70. Number 1 comes in and leaves number 1. As the Tar Heels get 24 points from Shammond Williams, 19 from Antawn Jamison to offset a career high tying 30 from Greg Buckner. 73-70 is the final. We'll be back after this message from Budweiser.